My dear 12th class economic students, Assalamu alaikum. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the different concepts of national income. Dear students, national income refers to the sum of all incomes of the people of a country during a particular period of time, which is generally taken as 1 year. We know that various households earn their income from the business firms which utilize their resources such as labor, land, capital, and other services for the production of goods and services. The total value of all final goods and services produced by various productive firms in a year is known as national product. The value of the national product will be distributed among the various productive factors which have contributed to its production. So, out of the total value of the national product, wages will be paid to those who have sold their labor to the productive firms. Landowners would get rent for the contribution of the services of land, and capitalists would get interest for lending money capital to the productive firms. After the payment of wages, rent, and interest, what is left is the profit of entrepreneurs who set up the productive firms. It is thus clear that the national product, which is the total money value of all final goods and services produced by a country during a year, is distributed among factors of production in the form of wages, rents, interests, and profits. Thus, national product is equal to national income as the sum of wages, rents, interests, and profits is national income. So, we can define national income in two ways. First, as the sum total of factor incomes received by factors of production during a year, and in this case national income is equal to wages plus rents plus interests plus profits, or simply the sum of factor incomes. And secondly, national income is defined as the sum total of the money value of all final goods and services produced by the residents of a country in 1 year. The important point to note here is that it is the money value of all final goods and services. And final goods are those goods which have crossed or which are outside the boundary line of production and they are ready to use by their final users. Now the question is, why is it necessary to measure the level and rate of growth of national income of a country? Dear students, national income accounting is important because it helps us to measure the growth rate of an economy and the level of a country's economic performance. It also helps us to trace the trend or speed of the country's economic growth in relation to previous years as well as in relation to other countries. Furthermore, national income accounting helps us to analyze the changes in the average living standards of the people and helps us to make the international comparison of people's living standards. The study of national income also helps us to know the structure and composition of national income in terms of various sectors and the distribution of national income among various factors of production, thereby helps us to measure the income inequalities or the level of income inequalities in an economy. And last but not least, The study of national income helps the government to formulate suitable developmental plans and policies to increase the growth rate of economy. Now coming to the important concepts of national income. Dear students, the different concepts of national income are gross domestic product, that is GDP, gross national product, that is GNP, net domestic product, that is NDP, net national product, that is NNP, personal income, and personal disposable income. Let us first study the gross domestic product. Students, gross domestic product is simply written as GDP. It is the money value of all final goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country during an accounting year. And that accounting year is generally taken as 1 year. So, in this definition of gross domestic product, two important points must be noted. First, gross domestic product is the money value of all final goods and services. That is, it is the money value of all those goods and services which have crossed the boundary line of production and are ready for final use. Thus, it includes the money value of all final goods, not the intermediate goods. And intermediate goods are those goods which are still within the boundary line of production and are not ready for final use. For example, gross domestic product, that is GDP, it includes the value of final goods like cars, not the value of intermediate goods like steel to produce cars. Second important point to note here is that gross domestic product is produced within the domestic territory of a country. Domestic territory means the territory lying within the political frontiers of a country. Thus, gross domestic product refers to the money value of all final goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country by nationals, or we can say normal residents of a country, as well as non-nationals, or we can say non-residents in a year. It is a monetary measure and it includes all private and public consumption, government expenditure, investment expenditure, and exports minus imports, that is net exports, that occur within a defined territory. We can estimate gross domestic product at market price as well as at factor cost. GDP at market price is the sum of the gross value added plus indirect taxes less subsidies. And GDP at factor cost is equal to GDP at market price less indirect taxes plus subsidies. So, if we have gross domestic product at market price, we must exclude from it the indirect taxes and include to it the value of subsidies. We will get the gross domestic product at factor cost. The value of gross domestic product, whether estimated at market price or at factor cost, it must be identical to each other, as the final value of goods and services must be equal to the cost involved in the process of production. Another important concept of national income is net domestic product. Firstly, we discussed gross domestic product. Now it is net domestic product, that is NDP. Students, while calculating gross domestic product, as discussed in our previous slide, we ignore the depreciation of assets, or we can say the capital consumption. Firstly, what is depreciation? See, in the process of production, we consume or use up some capital like machinery, equipments, etc. Such capital goods wear out, or we can say their value fall as a result of its consumption or as a result of their use in the process of production. This consumption of fixed capital or fall in the value of fixed capital due to wear and tear is called depreciation, or simply we can say that depreciation is the wear and tear of fixed capital assets during the process of production. While calculating gross domestic product, we ignore the depreciation allowances. As a result, gross domestic product cannot reveal complete flow of goods and services through various sectors. Thus, when depreciation charges are deducted from gross domestic product, we get net domestic product. Therefore, the net domestic product, it therefore refers to the market value of all final goods and services produced within a domestic territory of a country during a given period of time, generally 1 year, after providing for depreciation allowances. Thus, NDP, that is net domestic product, is equal to gross domestic product minus depreciation. The only difference between gross domestic product and net domestic product is gross domestic product is inclusive of depreciation charges, while net domestic product is exclusive of depreciation charges. Now coming to another important concept, which is gross national product, that is GNP. Dear students, gross national product, it is the money value of all final goods and services produced by normal residents of a country in 1 year. Gross national product, it is not a domestic concept like gross domestic product. Rather, it is a national concept. Here, we estimate the national product of all the normal residents of a country, no matter in which part of the world they are working. Thus, gross national product includes the income earned by the normal residents of a country, whether they have earned in one's own country or abroad, but it does not include the income earned by foreigners within a country. Gross national product, it is the sum of gross domestic product and net factor income from abroad. So when we add net factor income from abroad to gross domestic product, we get gross national product. What is net factor income from abroad? Students, net factor income from abroad is the difference between factor income received from abroad by normal residents of a country for rendering their factor services in other countries and the factor incomes paid to the foreign residents for factor services rendered by them in the domestic territory of a country. If we talk about India, then net factor income from abroad is the income earned by Indians working in other countries minus the income earned by foreigners working in India. So, gross national product is simply the sum of gross domestic product and net factor income from abroad. Students, if net factor income from abroad is positive, then gross national product is greater than gross domestic product. And if net factor income from abroad is negative, then gross national product is less than gross domestic product. Or we can say then gross domestic product is greater than gross national product. One more important concept of national income is net national product, that is NNP. As already told you that net is exclusive of depreciation charges, so net national product can be derived by subtracting depreciation allowances from gross national product. That is, we had to subtract the depreciation from gross national product. Only then we can get the net national product. Net national product can also be found out by adding the net factor income from abroad to the net domestic product. It means if we add net factor income from abroad to net domestic product, we will get the net national product. Net national product can thus be defined as the market value of all final goods and services produced by the normal residents of a country during an accounting year minus depreciation. This definition gives us the value of net national product at market price. Since the value of all goods and services is taken at the market price, dear students, it is the net national product which is the actual addition to a country's wealth during an accounting year, and it is equal to the sum of consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure, and net foreign expenditure, that is net exports, minus depreciation charges plus net factor income from abroad. Net national product at market price is equal to gross national product at market price minus depreciation charges. So if net national product figure is available at market price, we will subtract indirect taxes and add subsidies to the figure to get net national product at factor cost. Net national product at factor cost is thus equal to net national product at market price minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. Dear students, net national product at factor cost, it is the net output of an economy evaluated at factor prices. It is the net national product at factor cost which is simply called as national income at factor cost, and it is equal to the sum of all incomes earned by resource suppliers for their contribution of land, labor, capital, and organizational ability during an accounting year. Now coming to another concept which is personal income. Dear students, personal income is the sum of all incomes actually received. What actually received by all individuals or households of a country during a given year from all sources before direct taxes. Personal income is not the same as national income. That is, we should not confuse the personal income with national income, because some incomes which are earned, such as social security contributions like life insurance premiums, provident funds, etc., corporate income taxes, and undistributed corporate profits, These are the incomes which are not actually received by households, but they are being currently earned. Such incomes are included in the national income but excluded from personal income. And conversely, there are some incomes which are actually received by individuals like transfer payments, but they are not currently earned. So from national income, we must subtract those three types of incomes which are earned, that is, which are currently earned but not actually received by the households, like undistributed corporate profits, corporate taxes, social security contributions, and we should add those incomes which are actually received by the households but not currently earned, like transfer payments, in order to get the personal income. Thus, personal income is equal to national income at factor cost minus undistributed corporate profits minus corporate taxes minus social security contributions, which include life insurance premiums, provident fund payments, etc., plus transfer payments like scholarships, widow pensions, old age pensions, gifts, etc. We can also get personal income from private income, and in this case, personal income is equal to private income minus saving of private enterprises minus corporate taxes. Now the last concept, which is the personal disposable income. Dear students, even whole of the incomes which are actually received by the households or people, they are not available to them for consumption purpose. This is because government impose some direct taxes on personal incomes of individuals such as income tax, personal property tax, etc. Therefore, a part of the personal income is paid to the government in the form of personal taxes such as income taxes, personal property taxes, etc. After paying a part of personal income as personal taxes, what remains of personal income is called personal disposable income. Thus, disposable income is that part of personal income which is left after the payment of personal direct taxes. Personal disposable income is thus equal to personal income minus personal direct taxes. This disposable income can either be consumed by the individuals or saved by them. That is, it is that amount of money that households have available for consumption purpose and for saving purpose. Or we can say disposable income is thus equal to consumption plus savings. That's consumption expenditure plus savings. It means that part of the disposable income may be consumed by the households and part of it may be saved by them. This concept, that is the concept of disposable income, indicates the purchasing power in the hands of the households or in the hands of the people, and it also indicates the condition of their actual living standards. Thank you.